we're not here until 10 o'clock tonight. We're going to cover quite a bit of information tonight, starting with the STEP High School, the college and the schools, and the PSEO information. Feel free to ask questions as we go along if you have any. And then at the end, we get Abby here, who is from Anoka Ramsey, and she's going to help figure out some things for their school. And then we're going to have an NHS panel of people who are PSEO students this year. So you can ask questions, and hopefully they will help you get a feel for what it'll be like if you decide to go PSEO. So we're going to start with Mr. Nyquist and STEP High School.
Well, thank you all for coming and supporting your student and the opportunities that are available to them. Like Mrs. Kobus said, my name is Josh Nyquist, and I'm the secondary program director. And as students get into their 10th grade year even, we start offering opportunities for them to start earning college credit, and that just expands more and more as they get into their junior year, and more students then become eligible in their senior year. So I'm going to talk about things that are college credit, and then STEP High School, which is what I'm going to get into at the beginning here. That by and large is not for college credit, but it does offer opportunities for juniors and seniors who may be interested in taking technical ed courses. And this would be at STEP High School, which is actually in Anoka Hennepin High School. So a student who would take STEP courses would actually become part Anoka Hennepin student and part PACT student. So we've set it up where students can do part-time there and then take most of their core classes here at PACT. And STEP High School is located right off Highway 10 next to Anoka Technical College. So it's a really good option because it's close by, and offers all kinds of courses that we just, especially with our size, are not able to offer with our size and equipment. So there's been students who've had success and really enjoyed this as an opportunity to pursue interests in architecture, construction, arts, audio technology, automotive. One student I asked once, how are things going there? And he's like, great, my dad really loves that I'm there because I got to fix his car. He brought his car and he worked on it there at STEP High School. So they give them all kinds of opportunities to pursue those interests: fashion, cosmetology, health science, hospitality, tourism, law enforcement, public safety. You can start working toward a certificate in welding, nursing. So you're somewhat limited if you go to STEP and then remain at PACT, because you can only take their first hour course basically if you're going to come back to PACT in time to take our core courses. But it does at least offer our students opportunity to take some of those other electives. So if you're interested in pursuing STEP for your student, the student must be a junior or senior who is on track to meet PACT graduation requirements. So there's no requirement in terms of being ranked in the top third or top half like there might be for PSEO. It's just making sure that we can do a schedule and you're still on track to graduate. So for some students, this is a great opportunity. And there are some of the courses there are courses that you can earn technical college credit, but most of them are not. Like I mentioned before, a student is then duly enrolled, so part PACT, part Anoka Hennepin student. Only the morning classes at STEP are available for PACT students, and then PACT students who attend STEP will need to commit to attending STEP for all 3 trimesters. So at PACT here, we're on a semester schedule, so it simply doesn't work if they want to just take first trimester at STEP and then come here, because we can't just have a student take the last 4 or 5 weeks of a course here. It just becomes too messy for credits. So if the student's interested in taking STEP, they got to commit to, we're going to do this the whole year, because we're just not on the same trimester semester schedule. So that's the reason for that. This just shows you an example schedule at STEP High School for next year, and students would take their first, they have a little bit longer block schedule, so 8 to 9:45, and then the student then could come here to PACT. Probably have a little bit of time here at PACT before their classes actually start, so the student could work in the IC room on any homework for whatever it would be, 15 minutes or so by the time they got here. and then start with period 3 next year. So this is a new bell schedule that we are planning for next year. So if you see the times and they look a little different than this year, that's why. So students requiring transportation to STEP in the morning would need to utilize the Anoka-Hennepin bus service. And students then are responsible for transportation from STEP to PACT. So whether that's you as a parent taking your student or them driving, many by the time they're in their junior, senior year drive from STEP here to PACT. And then however, if a student did need bus service, then in the afternoon they could use the PACT bus service at that time. So how do you register if this is something that interests you? Well, the big thing to keep in mind is, talk with Mrs. Kobus, because of course you'll need to make sure the student's on track to graduate. And then you actually have to contact STEP and register and let them know that you are a PACT student. With our registration documents that are out right now, if your student's interested in pursuing STEP, they would need to put that on their registration form as their first elective. And those materials are due on Wednesday this week. So after you've registered here, I kind of mentioned already, you need to make sure to contact STEP High School, let them know that you're going to be enrolling there. We'll also be in communication with them so they have an idea of the number of students that we're planning to send. I also want to talk briefly about our College in the Schools options for next year. Next year we are planning to offer, now for the first time, Spanish College in the Schools through Bethel University. So we've been working with them, and these would be taught by Ms. LaSalle. And there's one for first semester that would be Introductory Spanish 2, and then Intermediate Spanish 1 would be second semester. And even though the first one has Spanish 2 in there, and the next one's Intermediate Spanish 1, that's a higher level, and you can tell, especially by the college coding, SPA 102 and SPA 201. So these are courses that, in conversation, Ms. LaSalle and the Bethel professor have determined that our students would be able to go into most easily after completing Spanish 2. So for any of our students who are going to be a sophomore next year, this is a great opportunity for you. We will be able to offer a college credit option for sophomores, but not just sophomores, also juniors and seniors. So students maybe who are even interested in PSEO can come back to PACT and get some extra college credit through Bethel University for Spanish. And we're going to do our best to put this in the schedule as a 7th-hour class for students who might be going part-time and want to come back and take some college credit here at PACT. So if you're not certain on College in the Schools and what that means, basically with Bethel, which is our partner university in this, the student earns Bethel University credit along with high school credit. And each course will use the Bethel syllabus. The curriculum will be approved by the PACT Curriculum Committee. They're going to be looking at that as soon as we have access to it. And then each course will be taught by a PACT teacher who's overseen by a Bethel professor. And interested students will register for College in the Schools courses on their course registration form. Students who take these courses will, like I said, receive both high school and post-secondary credit. And you can see the credit conversion there for the number of college credits earned and what the equivalent high school credit would be. And that should be in your packet as well. So how does a student get into this course that we're planning for next year? Well, one way is student rank, top 10% of sophomores, 33% of juniors, 50% of seniors. But then this hasn't yet been board approved, but we're working through our committee process to include the ability for students to qualify for College in the Schools Spanish courses if they successfully completed high school Spanish 2 and receive a recommendation from the Spanish teacher. And then there's also qualification that they can achieve through their nationally normed tests, depending on what grade they're in. Other prerequisites may apply for specific courses, like in this case, the Spanish course is, obviously you can't just come in and expect to take it having no Spanish in your background, so you would have had to have had at least Spanish 2 in high school. And then there is a little bit of weighted grading scale for students who take college in the schools courses. You do get a little bump up in your GPA. An A, for example, in a regular class would be a 4.0, but an A in a college in the schools class would be 4.4. So future plans, we're continuing to partner with Bethel for future college in the schools courses. The only other one we offer at this time is psychology. That was offered this year, with the plan to offer in 2 years. So that's on more of a 2-year rotation. And we continue to look for opportunities for our teachers that can offer these courses here and look at ways to improve that. The difficulty is many of our universities, they've upped the requirements in recent years for teachers to be able to teach college in the schools courses. They require teachers to have a master's in their subject area. And that's something that's changed from when we first started offering college in the schools. So it's a challenge for many high schools that have wanted to start this program. Now the colleges are kind of looking at the whole thing and saying, hold on, you got to have this master's degree in the subject area. And they can be pretty strict on that. You know, for example, we've tried to have college in the schools math course with a teacher who had an engineering master's, and even that didn't count because it wasn't a math master's. So they're getting pretty strict on what they want. So it's difficult to offer as much as we want, but we're going to continue to look and find ways to offer these options for our students. So I don't know if there's any questions for me at this time. Yes?
So my daughter's interested in the Spanish class, college in schools. Would it just take the place of her regular Spanish as far as slotting that in?
Yep. So the question was asked if a college in the schools course would take the place of the regular ed Spanish, and yes, it would. So right now, what we're planning to offer for students who've completed Spanish 2 is this college in the schools course, which would be like the Spanish 3, but instead they'd take the college 1. So we're not really anticipating, we're not even planning to do a Spanish 3 course. Typically that course is kind of small anyway. Instead, we're really hoping our students will take advantage of this one and they might as well earn college credit. Any other questions? If you think of something later, I'll still be around. You can ask me individually as well.
All right, welcome, and I'm Mrs. Kovitz, and I am going to talk a little bit about PSEO. And so the objectives for our PSEO talk tonight is that you will learn about the PSEO program, you will understand the benefits and the risks of going PSEO, you will learn about the PSEO eligibility requirements, and you will learn how PSEO credits transfer to the PACT school. And then what to expect at a college and the admissions process. So what is PSEO? As stated by the Minnesota Department of Education, PSEO is post-secondary enrollment options, which allows high school juniors and seniors to take courses full-time or part-time at a post-secondary institution for high school credit. You may also have heard this called dual or concurrent enrollment. We call it PSEO. Why should you choose PSEO? PSEO offers larger variety of classes. There are large opportunities for more challenging coursework. Tuition fees and textbooks are paid by the state, so you do not have to cover those costs, which is a very great bonus. Credits earned will apply towards high school requirements and also towards a college degree. So, is PSEO right for you? Are you self-sufficient? Are you doing well in your high school classes? Do you want the challenge of a more rigorous class schedule? Do you read and write well? And have you taken Algebra 2 if you plan to take math classes as a PSEO student? Are you planning on attending a post-secondary institution after you graduate? So if you said yes to any of those, then PSEO might be a really great option for you. Keep in mind that transportation is not provided by the school, so you would have to find your way to and from those classes. If you are a family that falls below the federal poverty line, there might be a subsidy for those mileage to and from school. So PSEO eligibility, any 11th or 12th grade student, and how many years you can go PSEO depends on when you start. So if you start as a junior, typically you would be allowed 2 years of PSEO classes. If you started as a senior, typically you would be allowed 1 year of PSEO classes. And students must meet the post-secondary institution requirements, and every school has their own set. It is not set by our school or by the state. So make sure you are researching the college or university you would like to attend. And you can enroll full-time or part-time in any non-sectarian course. There is a limited eligibility for sophomores, and we'll get into that a little bit more in the future, but you can apply as a 10th grader if you have taken the 8th grade reading MCAs and have reached a meets or exceeds score on that test. And if you are in special education, there might be a little bit of a wiggle room in that. So these are all the places that you could attend PSEO. All of the University of Minnesota branch schools, all of the Minnesota State community colleges and technical colleges, and there are some private colleges, both 4-year and 2-year, that you would also be able to attend. There are some trade schools and some industrialization centers that would also count. If you want a more robust list of this, go ahead and go to the Minnesota Department of Education website. Oftentimes, students will want to earn those college degrees by going PSEO, but they also want to be involved in the PACT community. So some students will take PSEO classes in the morning or early afternoon and then come back in the afternoon for sports or other activities. We've also had students come for a morning class and then leave and go for the afternoon as well. So college credits transfer as a 4-to-1 ratio. So 4 college credits equals 1 high school credit. So if you took a 4-credit college class, that would equal 1 credit at PACT. Once you decide to go PSEO, you won't have a lot of contact with myself, and so it is up to you to make sure that you are on track for graduation. So make sure that you are taking classes that meet the requirements that you still need. For example, make sure you're taking your social studies, language arts, science, math classes, and those types of things. A 3 or 4 credit college class will transfer over as 1 language arts or subject area requirements. For example, the college writing and critical thinking class is a 4-credit class. It transfers over as 1 high school language arts credit. Intro to Literature is a 3-credit college level class. It is worth 0.75 here at PACT, so that would complete 1 year of language arts, but that extra 0.25 credit would need to be made up through elective credit. A full-time PSEO student must take the college's minimum full-time student load, which is 12 credits. So that's 12 college credits. Part-time students will take some credits at the high school and some credits at the post-secondary institution. Students should have at least 3 credits per semester in order to stay on track for graduation. So that should be a minimum of 6 per year. And you cannot be a full-time student at PACT and a PSEO student. So you must drop at least 1 period of the day here in order to qualify for PSEO. All right, so let's say you wanted to do part-time PSEO. You would register for a couple classes at the post-secondary institution, and then you would register for some classes here as well. So this student decided to take one four-credit college class in semester 1, and then one four-credit college class in semester 2. They also registered for a full year of graphic design, algebra 2, Spanish 3, chemistry, and band. So at the end of the year, they ended up with 7 credits. It is important that you know what requirements you have left to complete before you register with a post-secondary institution. Most of you should have received your credit audit. If you haven't, you can see me for that before you register, but that will help you register for the correct classes and make sure that you graduate on time. And the high schools choose which courses meet the graduation requirements. It is not up to the college, so we have specific courses that will transfer over as language arts, specific courses that will transfer over as your world history, U.S. history, and that was one of the handouts in the back, so it's the transfer guide. So if you are going to be taking core classes at a post-secondary institution, make sure you look at that guide and follow that guide to pick the right classes. If you have registered for a course and then you no longer wish to take that course, you must withdraw from that course. If you don't, it will show up as an F on your transcript. Excuse me. And that will stay on your transcript. So it is important that if you decide not to take it, to withdraw from the class. Not all classes are eligible for PSEO students, and we'll get into that a little bit more in the future, and I know Abby will talk about that a little bit too. So sectarian courses are not allowed for, or not offered for PSEO students. They're not covered by the state. And those are classes that are restricted to or affiliated with particular religious groups. Classes with very large fees are also not available to PSEO students. And the study abroad program. There is no way you can go to Spain on the state. Also, developmental and remedial courses are not covered as PSEO students. If you need those classes, you would have to wait until you are not a PSEO student, or you would have to cover the cost of those classes. Oftentimes, those classes are numbered below 1,000. That's how you would know. But you do have an academic advisor with your post-secondary institution, so they would be able to help you decide if that course is a remedial course or not. And these are courses not covered by Anoka Ramsey, but I'm going to let her talk about that, so we're just going to zoom right through this. So what can you expect from a college class? College classes are very fast-paced, much more so than what we are here. Professors and teachers have very high expectations of you, and the professors are the ones who set the expectations for the class, not the school. So PACT has nothing to do with your classes that are over there. Make sure you read and follow your syllabi for the course. College classes will have fewer tests, but each test will be worth more points, so therefore it is much more important to study and to do well, although it's important now too. Reading and writing assignments are much more intense, and time management is super important. In regular classrooms and also online, you have to be able to make sure you're meeting the deadlines and nobody is going to be tracking you down or giving you extensions. All right, so 1 college credit is equal to about 1 hour in class. And that 1 hour in class should be equal to 1 or 2 hours of homework per week. So for example, this 4-credit college class equals 4 hours in class plus 4 to 8 hours of homework per week. So that's 8 to 12 hours per week. So if you're a full-time student, you need to take 12 credits per semester at least. So that would equal 12 hours in class time, 12 to 24 hours of homework time, and 24 to 36 hours per week that you should dedicate to your PSEO classes. So what should you as parents know? Because of FERPA, you will not have much contact with their post-secondary institution, okay? They can sign a form that would give their professors permission to talk to you about grades and the classes they're enrolled with, but honestly, they're not gonna want to answer many of your questions. So it's gonna be up to your student to contact that professor and to handle their own classes. So even with consent, professors are generally not receptive to parent communication, and that's at pretty much every post-secondary institution. Some classes in colleges do not take attendance, so even if you wanted to know from the professor, they may have no idea how often your student has attended. The syllabus is a contract between the student and the professor. It is very important that they read that syllabus. Of course, expectations will be different for every class, so they will need to make sure that they are reviewing each syllabus. What are the PSEO requirements for admission? So like I said before, each college and university has their own set of requirements. We do not get to decide who qualifies and who does not. The general guideline is that juniors must be in the top 1/3 of their class or score in the top 70th percentile of a nationally standardized norm reference test. And seniors must be in the top half of their class or score in the 50th percentile or above on a nationally standardized test. Some colleges also have GPA requirements, and you can meet eligibility requirements by meeting a certain GPA. So there is a limited option for 10th graders to take PSEO classes. As said before, 10th graders must have taken and earned a meets or exceeds on the 8th grade MCA reading test, MCA test. And then their only option is to take an career and technical education course for the first semester. And then if they successfully pass that course, they can take up 2-3 the next semester, but they're still CTE or career and technical education courses. So they're not the general courses that you would take as an 11th or 12th grade PSEO student. So what is the process for PSEO here at PACT? First, you need to sign and return the PSEO intent form by May 30th, and that was one of the forms in the back there. You will need to apply to the college or university prior to their deadline. Most of the deadlines of the schools our students commonly go to is back there as well, so make sure you pick up that deadline sheet if you're interested. And then students must fill out a 3-part PSEO notice of student registration form, and this form needs to be filled out every semester that they go PSEO. So if you're a junior and you go PSEO, you need to fill it out for each 4 semesters that you're a PSEO student. And then you also must give me a copy of your schedule and grades. It's very important that I get a copy of your schedule because that's how I determine if you are on track for graduation or not. So if you're a senior and I haven't gotten your PSEO schedule, I have no idea whether you're on track for graduation. And so if you're not on track, we could be in big trouble. So how do you stay connected to PACT if you decide to go PSEO? There are weekly announcements through email. There's the monthly newsletter, which is also through email. Monthly class meetings here at school. Make sure you check your email frequently because that is how I will contact you with any concerns. You can contact the school at any time if you have questions or concerns. And then you should meet with me at least once a year to make sure you are still on track and so that you know which classes you need to take. Here is my contact information if you want to set up a meeting to talk about PSEO or STEP or any of the options we've discussed. Or if you have any other questions, feel free to email me or give me a call. Any questions about this part of the PSEO presentation? going to take a quick 5-minute break while Abby, or 2-minute break while Abby sets up her stuff.